In this DCS update, we talk about changes that Magnitude 3 revealed for their Corsair. ED reminds us not to miss out on the summer sale that we have going on right now, and major core updates were dropped in a patch this week, with a particular focus on the Sinai map, which saw something of an overhaul and looks absolutely fantastic. Welcome back to the DCS SITREP. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and here we are talking once again about the world's premier combat flight simulator for the home PC right now. It's DCS World. It's brought to us by Eagle Dynamics and its third-party affiliates. And the ED team reminded us, naturally enough, they have a summer sale going on right now, so don't miss out. Take advantage. There are some fantastic savings. These include things like a 30% discount on Heatblur's F-14 Tomcat, and a 25% discount on their brand new DCS F4E Phantom II, which is an amazing aircraft. Now, if you want to pick up, say, perhaps a rotary wing aircraft, well, two of the best helicopters in the game, the Apache and the Hind, are 50% off right now. The team reminded us too, if you are looking for a multi-role aircraft, such as the F-16 Viper or the Hornet, some of their premier modules, these two are on sale. 40% off the Super Carrier right now, which is one of the most realistic aircraft carrier experiences ever created for the PC. And you can use the Tomcat on that as well. Now, if you're looking for more along the lines of the DCS A10C2 Tank Killer, well, close air support and targeting pods, a 30mm cannon, which is a monster, and that is a 50% off sale with in-depth tutorials from Deep Hack. Now, if you're looking for a new map, don't forget things like the Color Map, 30% off right now. All of these savings are available in the eShop until the 13th of July. So time is running out. Don't miss out. Great savings there. Let's talk about progress updates on various aircraft and also the core engine. So starting with the core engine polish, they have done some adjustments to the BUK or BUK SAMs, now trigger the RWR warning correctly. The AGM-45 seeker nuances for tracking frequencies on Chinese assets have been corrected, and there are some fixes for AIF4U and the BAP bomb usage. Taxi logic has been tuned to keep mixed human AI groups flowing smoothly at Rovaniemi on Kola, while the quick action generator now places units correctly inside the Marianas World War II map, and anti-ship setups over Afghanistan are now being set up correctly too. Module refinements include things like the MiG-29 export displays under Flaming Cliffs, which now obey brightness commands, which is cool. Viper pilots gain missing HOTAS commands for the harm page. The POS mode launch bug is closed, and a rare AA crash when cycling from harm has been eliminated. Earlier data transfer cartridges load cleanly again, and new radar strings no longer corrupt existing CMDs tables or CMDS tables. Now, as is typical when there are major updates, that affects the campaign. So July's maintenance update improves everything from rotary wing insertions to high altitude jet Jules. Fights On has updated every mission of the AH-64D, the Four Horsemen campaign. The Peacekeeper Lebanon's campaign improves the opening ferry hop for the Huey, while the Operation Cerberus North campaign no longer flags the wrong structure in its 5th Hornet strike. For the Hog drivers, the Operation Persian Freedom campaign received a blanket radio trigger update, and the Flying Psyking's Northern Defenders campaign fixes kneeboards and removes a rear crash in its bomber intercept missions. Reflected Simulations' Arctic Thunder campaign addresses Viper parking, and Badger 633 refines wingman queues in Rise of the Persian Lion 2 campaign. So if you own those campaigns, make sure you download the latest updates. There are probably other fixes besides. These are always ongoing. Now, we talked earlier about the Sinai, one of my favorite maps. It is really well done. So OnRetech has pushed the Sinai map far beyond its original borders. So that's the first update. The medium detail zone now stretches northeast to include all of Israel, southern Syria, including Damascus, and even a slice of western Libya. This opens the door to fully model several Arab-Israeli scenarios without workarounds or empty, low-detail areas. Now, across the entire theater, every mountain face, desert plateau, and coastal plain has received new color, corrected albedo, and normal maps. Dawn over Negev and Golan Heights at dusk. never looked better. And it does look absolutely fantastic. It's always been a gorgeous map, but these updates certainly enhance that. Now, 5 key airfields anchor this update, including Ramat David, complete with the bespoke shelters, Saudi Arabia's Forward Tabuk airstrip, Lebanon's Rafik Hariri International Airport, and Syria's twin airfields of Damascus International and Meza. Each is ringed by newly created sand fortifications and army bases. These locations are indicated as icons on the mission editor map. Further, dozens of bug fixes, terrain seams, and scene layer glitches have also been resolved. So definitely you'll see a difference flying at low detail, which hopefully you're looking at some of these images. And thus far, what I've had a chance to tinker with over the course of the last week has been absolutely fantastic. Now, Magnitude 3 joked that in the tradition of delayed newsletters, they are providing one for this summer. So they gave us a pretty detailed update on what they're calling the definitive list of bugs and improvement fixes that they've made so far for the F4U-1D Corsair. So for flight model and systems, they talked here about tuning the oil cooling system. They've introduced the auto-rich fuel setting. They've fixed the drag coefficients for the following: Tiny Tim 11.75-inch rockets, the HVAR 5-inch rockets and their pylons, the Mark 5 and 6 drop tanks, center pylons, center drop tank, and the ASM-2N bat bomb, which I haven't used yet. They've implemented pressure effects on the landing gear while deploying them while flying too fast. They've improved the flight model on damage modeling. They've improved the AI engine's description. They've adjusted the AN/ARR2A sectors by 15 degrees. They've reversed the AN/ARC5's C38 control units CW voice switch operation. They fixed the RPM lever's mouse control from exceeding 2800 RPM. They fixed the radar signal and gun sight reticle from detaching out of place, fixed and updated numerous clickable controls, fixed the canopy position commands, added a trim reset command, added access inputs for the cockpit and gun sight lights, and they've added the ground cruise wheel chocks command as well. Some miscellaneous things here: they've added the 127mm and 25mm missing gun sounds. They've adjusted the engine and propeller sounds. That's still a work in progress. They've adjusted the in-cockpit flap and wing folding sounds, enabled the AI to deploy the ASM-2N bat bomb, fixed net ARG animation code for the landing gear during multiplayer sessions. They've added the ability to change the gun convergence during rearm. For the mission editor, they've added the ability to change the Mark IV build numbers. They've added the draft values for the Essex class carrier affecting minimum water depth, added a gun conversions unit of measure label, and then artwork here. They've fixed the damage model and elevators from falling for the Essex class carrier. They've adjusted some geometry around the elevators and general ambient occlusion errors. They've corrected the weapons animation and rotation limits from shooting through the island. Fixed the liveries folder structure to allow custom liveries. The Corsair airframe model, they've added missing right wing fold aileron animations and damage elements. They've fixed some rear tail damage elements visibility issues. Fixed the flap control rods from poking through the wing. Fixed the gun flames visibility with missing wings. Implemented antenna and wing vibrations, adjusted the fire effects when damage is taken. As for the cockpit model, they've increased the field of view limit to 140 degrees. They've adjusted the textures to be more PBR friendly. They've fixed the floating UV glowing mixture control animation, fixed the missing shadows, when the mirrors are enabled, and they've adjusted the hydraulic hand pump animation, implemented cockpit vibrations, missions, adjustments here. Tora deleted due to World War II assets pack dependency for that particular mission. Engine start procedural changes, rocket attack procedural changes, and added the missing Tiny Tim 11.75-inch rockets. They've fixed all the Mark IV livery assignments. So they went on to say thanks for making this launch unforgettable and for keeping the legend of the Corsair alive, which is awesome. And I expect as more feedback continues from a much larger player base, then we will see some more adjustments, fixes as time goes on, which is to be expected with any new module of this nature. So I think it's been a very, very positive introduction. Again, as I've said previously, it has injected some fresh life into the World War II genre, which is necessary. We are still waiting for the Hellcat, of course, which is from Eagle Dynamics. So that's a Eagle Dynamics in-house studio module coming, along with more assets for the Marianas. And also we had the LA-7 coming, which is more of a European theater, Russian aircraft. And that is also going to inject, again, some more life into the World War II genre, which is vast, in fairness, and relatively niche, I think, for the broader player base. I think, generally speaking, the jets probably provoke more excitement, especially some of the premier modules such as the Viper and the Hornet. Certainly aircraft like the Eurofighter, the Phantom 2, those are big ticket items for people. Nonetheless, there is a very, very passionate group of World War II enthusiasts who enjoy what Eagle Dynamics is able to achieve and what the third-party groups like Magnitude 3 have achieved and can achieve with the complex flight model and the in-depth engineering that can go into these modules that some of the other franchises can't quite deliver. They have other benefits, but the level of detail associated with DCS, of course, is second to none, or second to very few, let's put it that way. So it's good to see, like I said, some fresh paint and fresh modules, if you like, in this particular genre within the franchise, and that's only going to be good for DCS World in general. So long may it continue, and we'll see what the rest of the year delivers in terms of, as I said, more assets and those other aircraft, which I think the LA-7 is probably the closest next. What ED decides to release, I think, is likely going to be, I would imagine, the MiG-29A, based on what we saw from snippets coming out of the Flight Sim Expo. And there really was some very interesting material that came out of that, not only from Eagle Dynamics, but also from Grinelli Designs. A lot of favorable feedback and some very interesting comments and revelations from the team about what they were able to showcase at that expo. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it there. And also WINWING really showcasing some amazing tech that they have, especially in the force feedback area. They went well beyond what I expected. In fact, when you look at what they had done the previous year and sort of tentatively introduced a force feedback system that was reminiscent, I think, a little bit of what Moser Racing was doing. And then they went straight back to the drawing board after that. They really decided that that was not the direction that they wanted to go. They wanted to do something far more advanced, far more realistic potentially, and definitely the unit has grown in size based on some of the images that I've seen. So I'm going to do maybe a little bit more of an analysis of that coming up here, because I think it's a topic that I'm very, very interested in, and one that I think is going to be hugely beneficial for those of you who have the cash and have the desire to just increase the level of immersion through some very, very impressive tech. So it's getting very interesting. It's been an interesting year thus far in the flight sim world, and it continues to go in that vein as the year kind of clamps on. So we're halfway through. We've got another 6 months or so of development before the year rounds out, and we'll see how things go in all sorts of other variables in the world as well, which make, I guess, some of this stuff, certainly in terms of flight sim periphery equipment, interesting to say the least. We're talking tariffs, of course, and import issues, and some of the teams have held back their products as a result of that, or have adjusted the way in which some products have been released, so on and so forth. So again, it's a very, very interesting time, but one that's overall very, very exciting for flight simulation. Well, that sums up this week's DCS SITREP. Once again, thanks for tuning in. A couple of things to note around the verse. Obviously, we already talked about a lot of stuff going on in the flight sim periphery world, but we also had some interesting news from Chuck Owl, who does guides for DCS World modules. He has just completed one for the F4E Phantom 2. And while the aircraft does have a detailed manual, his guides are often seen as a good way of getting into some of these complex study sims and helping people get to grips with all of that detail, which is and can be pretty overwhelming. Another thing worth noting was news out of the Falcon BMS stable. Now, this is an interesting little franchise in many respects because it's a game that has been around for quite a while now, has a very dedicated and passionate group of followers and also developers. And what they have done recently is upswept a lot of the modules to bring them more into the 21st century level of graphics, but they now have done that with the terrain as well. Now, I don't think it's quite up there with DCS World, but in fairness, what they have done, when you consider the resources that they have, and it's primarily just a group of people working, I guess, part-time in some cases on the franchise, it is an incredible effort. They have to be congratulated for the work that they're doing. Like I said, it doesn't have the budget of some of these big studios, certainly not the budget that Eagle Dynamics has, and Lord forbid, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So it's, again, a testament to the work of people that are passionate about flight sim aviation. And I have to give a nod to that because it's something I do want to check out, and I have seen some pretty impressive videos. Like I said, I don't think it's quite there in terms of the visual work that Eagle Dynamics and DCS has, but it also has a dynamic campaign. It has a lot of replayability, and as I said, it does have a very passionate community working very, very diligently to bring us a pretty incredible franchise and game, given again the resources that they have. So keep an eye on that one. It's one I've always had a casual eye on what they're doing over there, and we will see if Eagle Dynamics is able to bring DCS up to that next level, which I think is dependent a little bit on a dynamic campaign, which, has been asked for many, many years. So we'll see what 2025 brings, as promised, the possibility, or the likely possibility at least, of the dynamic campaign. And we haven't seen too much information on it just yet. We have seen signs of some good work being done on it with the 2025 and beyond video, but we're still in the dark a little bit as to where that particular portion of the game, which is a vital one, is in terms of release. So stay tuned. Thanks again. We'll see you next time on the DCS SITREP.